responses of men and women of other ethnic groups. The objective was to measure the number of microaggressions. For example, black women receive in comparison to other nationalities and races. In addition, the goal of this research was to find out how other workers see and witness microaggressions in the workplace and how they feel toward prejudiced behavior. Below are a few charts from the survey conducted for this research. The survey consists of 28 questions distributed in April 2021. The questions were sent to the respondents online via Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and a personal link. The appendix presents all the data extracted from the survey. The following charts are a brief overview and analysis of the survey results. Survey, Q4. The bar chart above reflects the percentage of respondents that have experienced a racial microaggression in the workplace. The survey shows that racial microaggressions are very common in the workforce. Thomas 16. Survey, Q11. The bar chart above reflects the percentage of respondents who felt that women are rarely considered for management positions. The results show how microaggressions hinder the opportunity for women to get management or higher positions in a company. This bar chart shows how microaggressions affect people negatively and jeopardize the opportunity for bright women to progress and contribute to the company. Survey, Q1. The bar chart above reflects the percentage of people afraid of losing their job addressing racial discrimination. The choice of answers was the following. 23% of the respondents strongly agree, 42% agree, 22% was neutral, 9% disagree, 4% strongly disagree. Therefore, the results show that most people are afraid of losing their jobs, so they chose not to communicate when dealing with microaggressions in the workplace. Emotions are needed to address microaggressions, and if people are not calm, they will be afraid to speak up. Black women need to feel comfortable letting their leaders know about the microaggressions. This bar chart shows us that most black women are afraid of losing their jobs, so they remain silent when experiencing a microaggression. In the above bar chart, Survey Q1, the bar chart shows the high percentage of respondents agree on the scale. At 42% of the respondents acknowledge they are afraid. These, Thomas 17. Results show that companies may not be doing enough to create open and safe places for all their employees to express the difficulties they face in their workplace when it comes to race. Survey Q3. The pie chart above reflects the percentage of people that would most likely go to human resources if faced with racial discrimination on the job. The choice of answers was the following: not at all, somewhat, likely, and very likely. The survey results indicate that 10% are very likely to go to human resources, 18% are likely, 44% somewhat, and 28% would not go at all. Therefore, the most significant percentage in purple at 44% of respondents, which is close to half of the respondents, express uncertainty about whether they would speak to HR. Following a microaggression, most of the respondents are less than likely to go to human resources. Companies need to have diversity and openness in their policy so that workers can feel free to address their concerns. Survey Q7. The bar chart above reflects the types of issues the respondents have faced in the workforce. Thomas 18. The respondents replied with answers. 24% dealt with male-dominant issues, 19% sexual harassment, 27% dealt with racial discrimination or microaggressions, and 18% felt there was little opportunity for promotion. According to the respondents' results, racial discrimination and microaggressions were the most significant issue they faced. The bar chart above reflects the percentage of respondents who feel minority women have the same promotion opportunities as other ethnic groups. Black women deal with sexual harassment all the time on the job, as seen on the bar chart. The inequality crisis in the workplace may indirectly impact opportunity options but is more apparently associated with perceived racial and gender issues. Survey Q13. The bar chart above reflects the percentage of people that feel minority women have the same chance for promotion as other ethnic groups. The choice of answers was the following: disagree, agree, neither agree nor disagree, or strongly agree. The survey result indicates that 41% of the respondents disagree that minority women have the same chance for promotion as other ethnic groups, 23% agree, 16% neither agree nor disagree, 13% strongly disagree, and 10% strongly agree. The bar chart shows that most respondents know the minority women do not have the same chance for promotion on the job as other ethnic groups. Being overlooked is why many black women feel invisible, and a high percentage of black women are silent about the discrimination. Interview analysis. My analysis for the interview shows communication issues between both employers and the employees. Fear is an issue with the victims. The interview results from 4 black women show an uneven and tremendous distinction in how the female respondents are treated in the workforce. It also proves my hypothesis that the significant issue is that black women, Thomas 19, are not communicating. The interview result shows that most women are afraid to speak up about racial microaggressions because they fear losing their jobs. Unfortunately, many black women believe they must endure discrimination and remain silent because microaggressions are common for black American women. However, as the results show, in time, microaggressions can be harmful. It is true that racism still exists, but black women must speak up and overcome being a victim of discrimination and address the crisis of prejudice. This study used interviews on 4 black American women of different age groups to research microaggressions in the workforce. In addition, the questions were written to determine the kinds of microaggressions they experienced on the job. The interviewees come from different occupations: women 1, marketing manager; women 2, business administrator; women 3, hospital administrator; and women 4, nurse. The interviews were conducted using oral history. The participants are all acquaintances of mine. Interviews conducted for this research show that black women representing a diverse age range dealt with prejudice treatments, and they share analogous microaggression on their jobs. The purpose of this research is to raise attention to racial microaggressions against black women in the workforce. In addition to finding coping strategies, this research can perhaps inspire future research and encourage black women to be more vocal about microaggressions. Black women are skeptical about speaking up for more than one reason. Family and friends have taught black American women they must endure microaggressions and remain silent in the workforce if you want to keep their job. However, some of the interviewees have spoken up and had their jobs put on the line. They were told by human resources not to be sensitive. There need to be policies in place to encourage employees to speak up during problems. The interview result below demonstrates the battle black American women face in the workforce. Experiencing microaggressions and trying to speak up about microaggressions is not easy. Often black women decide to remain silent and cope with prejudice to keep their job. Below are a few questions and answers from the interviews that show similarities in the treatment of black women in the workforce and the many microaggressions they face while working. The research also shows how the interviewees responded and lacked communication in most of their situations. The complete interview questions are found in the appendix. Questions. Q1. Have you experienced racial discrimination in your workplace? Answers. Yes, I have experienced racial discrimination on my former job. Woman. A. Thomas 20. Yes, I have dealt with racial discrimination at my last job. I had one manager decide not to consider me for a promotion. When I asked about it, the manager said the reason was that she thought I would be going back to law school. Only she never asked me. I would have told her since I was not going to law school yet. Woman. C. Yes, I considered leaving because I felt that if I have a fresh start all over again, I will have a fresh approach on how I would present myself, and I would not have to deal with the microaggression so much. People wanted to work in peace. Woman. B. Women A and B remained silent and dealt with microaggressions. When the women spoke up, at least one of them quit their job because of frustration. Finally, one of the women spoke up and asked to have a meeting. During the meeting, she was told, "You are too sensitive." The problems continued following the meeting. The results from the interview Q3 tell the impact microaggressions can have on black women. Victims of microaggressions often remain silent, and it causes them to suffer while working on the job. As we learn from this study, microaggressions can cause depression. Some people leave their job due to the frustration of enduring racial microaggressions and discrimination in their place of work. Communication is the best policy to uncover the hidden crisis. When speaking up, the response to these questions is widespread for black women, which is why some women instead suffer in silences than being told, "Do not be so sensitive." Q3. Did you consider leaving because of racism? If so, explain. Answers. Yes. When I went to my director to tell what was going on, I was told to try not to be so sensitive. Woman. B. Yes, I left a job because of sexual harassment. Woman. A. Yes, I considered leaving after dealing with harassment, but I was young, and I think that is why the manager took such liberties with how I was treated. Woman. B. The result of the interview proves that racial microaggressions are a big problem in the workplace for black women. Our society has come a long way with law in place for equal opportunities for minorities, and women liberations laws. The results to the interviews show that our societies still have a way to go. Black women should feel free to communication to their company and know they have the same opportunities for advancement in the place of work. Thomas 21, Q4. As a black woman, do you feel you have equal opportunities to advance at your place of work? Answers: no, I do not feel black American women have equal opportunities for advancement on the job. Woman C. No, there are not an equal number of black women in management, since there are not any black women managers. Woman D. The response to these questions of the worst microaggressions experience is widespread for black women in the workplace. However, unfortunately, there is a stereotype rooted for years about black American women, and some people still use those against black women in the workplace. Stereotypes manifest in the form of microaggression can cause black women to feel invisible, hopeless to land a management position, and like a second-class citizen on the job. Some managers think it is okay to target minority women on the job, and they often get away with prejudiced actions. It takes courage to speak up against a boss or co-worker on the job. Below, the interview is an excellent example of how black women deal with microaggressions. Q5. What was the worst microaggression you experienced on the job? My co-worker, who happens to be white, and I was given a project to work together on, and when I sat down with him, he had decided he would do the entire job by himself. I asked him why, and he said, I wanted to make sure it's done right and wasn't sure if you could do it. I felt very insulted. Woman B. Someone asked me if I was smart enough to do my job. I have college degrees, and I felt because I was black this person assumed I was not smart, and I was so insulted. Woman B. My manager states, are you going to take your braids out for our meeting next week? Woman A. My coworker said to me, I would love to take you out. Woman B. I have never been with a black woman. Is it true what they say? Woman C. A white coworker asked, would you consider yourself the token here? You better climb the corporate ladder. Woman D. Thomas 22. Results. The results show us that microaggressions are still very common in American workplaces. Moreover, we have learned from the survey respondents and interview participants that microaggressions can badly affect workers if they do not address the problem. Based on the results of my analysis, racial microaggressions against black women can be corrected with communication when victims overcome their fear of speaking up. We discovered from this research that black women have a significant issue with communication because they fear losing their job, and they have been groomed as minority women to keep silent. Communication is the major issue to changing the narrative of black women falling victim to microaggressions on the job. In addition, women, in general, must deal with sexism and sexual harassment on the job. Microaggressions do not have to negatively impact black women when they learn how to take power away from the perpetrator of the microaggression by speaking up. The critical element to address the crisis of microaggressions is the communication of the victims. Most of the respondents felt discrimination against as minority women, and chances of getting a promotion are difficult. Conclusion: racial microaggression against black American women is still very much alive. Black American women must still fight for advancement and equal opportunities. The stereotypes of black American women and microaggressions go together. Historically, black women are passive and silent when dealing with microaggressions to keep their job. The same issue goes on today in the workforce with black American women. Communication is a significant issue for black women who are the victims of microaggressions in the workplace, since the women must overcome the fear and speak on the discriminatory treatment in the company. However, the victims of microaggressions need to speak up and let the company know about the racial microaggressions. That is the only way the crisis of discrimination toward black American women will be addressed. This study teaches that racial microaggressions can lead to depression, mental health, and death. Thomas 23. Black women can change the narrative of being passive in the workforce when they overcome fear and speak up. Conversely, keeping silent continues to make the impact of microaggressions stronger. This research concludes that more communication will help resolve microaggressions. However, corporations must do their part and address the discrimination that exists in their organization. Diversity training every year to let the employees know the behavior they expect from their employees. Training about microaggression is good for corporations to let employees know that racism will not be tolerated. Black American women have been told to pick and choose their fights against microaggressions. As a result, black women often ignore racial discrimination. This will encourage retention of employees. More training on how to respond to microaggressions is needed, and corporations should have a standing policy against racial bias in the companies. The Equal Employment Opportunity (EEO) laws were established in 1987 to dissolve racial discrimination in the workforce. U.S. EEO, 1987. In addition, corporations must include diversity standards in their organization. Black American women have come a long way in our society. However, this study on microaggression results shows we have a long way to go. Black women should feel comfortable speaking out against microaggressions. As the former First Lady Michelle Obama said, "There is power in allowing yourself to be known and heard, in owning your unique story, in using your authentic voice. Furthermore, there is grace in being willing to know and hear others. This, for me, is how we become Obama." 2018. Black women can take control of the crisis when they speak up against microaggressions.